Will's just joined us. There you go. Good timing.
Yes. Excuse my lateness. Hello, I'm Will Hall, Community Board Member for Heathcote.
And Heather and Nima, did you want to introduce yourselves? Cool. All right.
Excuse my lateness. Hello, I'm Will Hall.
Yeah. Was a bit unsettling. Sounding good, Will. Great. So we are all here. We've had no. Oh no, still waiting on Kier. We've no. Oh, here he is. Boom! Just on right on time. Did you want to introduce yourself, Kier, as well?
Excuse me.
All right. Yeah. TMO is not great for a community board. Apologies for the haunted room.
You're about to apologize.
I'm about to apologize again. Yeah. Is it finished? Oh, thank goodness. Don't like the sound of my own voice. All right, so we've had no apologies received, and we're ready for community open forum after all that. So first up, we've got Christina Freeman. You come to talk to us about the Ferrymead Park pump track. Cool, and you've sent some slides through as well, I think. Cool.
Which do you want first, the slides or the video?
I'll talk to the first slide, and I think the second slide.
Okay. Yep.
Yep, I can do that. Is that good? Cool.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll wait for the slides. Oh yeah, maybe it might be easier to see.
Cool. Right, off you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm Christina Freeman. I live up in Mount Pleasant, and I've come here to talk to you about an upgrade that we're proposing for the Ferrymead Park pump track, which is the picture of it is just behind you there on the wall. So the current pump track was built by Huxter Mountain Bike Trust. It's made of just imported clays and it's been shaped by hand and by machine. It's not maintained, so it's actually fallen into disrepair now, and it's no longer very much fun to ride. It's all grassed over, it's rutted and bumpy, and nobody wants to put any money into it the way that it's looking now. So I'm really keen to manage an upgrade for it. We go for the next slide. To something like this, which is what we've just built in Bexley Reserve. And I might get you to flick the video on just to show you a little bit more about what a pump track actually is.
Putting us through our paces, Christina.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
It might come from here.
Oh, no.
You need to go out to the other link.
Thank you.
Sorry about this.
Well, perhaps if you want to just continue.
So
we'll
that
get to
pump
the
track that you're looking at there, that's the inspiration for the upgrade's been taken from this. This is a project that North Avon Christchurch BMX Club did we've been working on it for the last couple of years. It opened in, here we go. There's no picture.
Wait a minute.
Oh, well, you'll remember it. Here we go.
Cool.
So the inspiration for this project has been taken from this. Again, it's I've aligned myself with the Huckster Mountain Bike Trust this time, and to do a very similar thing. And I'm hoping to gift the pump track back to the city. So the location of the Ferrymead pump track at the moment, as you can see there, you'll see just where it says Ferrymead Park Drive, just under there, that's the historic park. The Ferrymead Park Drive just goes through on the top of the picture there, and then you've got Bridle Path Road going through, and the soccer fields, and there's a car park where the soccer fields are. The pump track's just nestled in there, the existing one. Why do we need an upgrade? It was actually a really popular spot before it fell into disrepair. People, little kids, lots of people in the community used to use it. We need a quality facility to catch the Bexley overflow, because it's actually, it's really, really popular now, and there's so many people on it. Sometimes it's quite hard to ride. We also have a large catchment in the Ferrymead Park area, and we do need some more facilities to engage youth in that area. It's also close enough to Redcliffe's, who didn't get what they wanted. They wanted a facility similar to this, but they didn't get it, so it's close to them. And it's also complementary and compatible with Heathcote Valley mountain bike dirt jumps, and they're really happy about the idea that this is happening. So, yeah. What can you do to help? Definitely encourage our community. Let regional parks and the recreation planning teams know that you endorse the project. Ensure that any decisions around development in the park leave space for the activity. So any management plans, etc., make sure they allow for recreational activities like biking and all that kind of thing. That would be really helpful. And my promise, it'll be awesome. One more.
Fantastic. No, that was a great presentation.
And we can't wait. Thank you.
Cool, and very timely as well, because staff are currently looking at this area around the Ferrymead Park.
Yeah,
in
that's
terms of
why
its,
I pulled my socks up. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, good stuff. Have you got any questions from the board, Tim, and then Lee?
Yeah, timeline.
Timeline. So the Bexley Reserve one took about 2 years, which was amazing given the scope of that project. That was a $650,000 project, and we had to find the funding and do the consenting. I'd like to say a couple of years. Again, it depends on funding and that kind of thing. There's a lot of work involved, but yeah, a couple of years, depending on the landscape, the planning landscape and that sort of thing. Yeah.
It's good. It's not
No, I'm a pretty motivated person,
Yeah.
and I'm definitely motivated by providing really neat facilities for our youth to use, because we don't have enough of that. Yeah.
I think you answered one of my questions. I was just asking about the budget about Bexley, but maybe how you kind of collated those funds, and proportionally how big is Bexley? Looks a lot bigger than what we've got at Ferrymead.
Yes, it is.
Is it like 40% maybe Ferrymead or?
I can't actually remember the numbers, but it would be less than half. It's a only tiny little space, but it'll still be amazing. And when we were building the Bexley Park, I already had formulated the idea to upgrade the Ferrymead one, and I took the contractor down there for a look, and yep, we can do something with this. So I was like, that sounds really cool. Yeah.
So it might be like 250, maybe 250,000, maybe somewhere around that.
I'm thinking.
Ballpark.
Yeah, I'm thinking he has indicated that he will be giving me a quote quite soon, so I'll know in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping. Yeah. And again, the scope for the funding for the larger project, we had Pub Charity, Kiwi Gaming Trust, NZCT, and then the Boosted Sport, that's gone now, but they provided a bit of input. And then we got a big chunk from Rata, Community Endowment Fund provided a big chunk of it as well, and then lotteries, and then it all came together and we were like, away. Yeah, it was
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One more question, Tim, and then we're out.
You mentioned Ferrymead Park, and I thought that would be something that they would want in the close by. So have they been positive, or have you talked to them at all?
I've been to talk to the community, the Residents Association, and they were right on board. They were really happy. Yeah.
And the Ferrymead Park itself, is it?
I haven't done much more, so it's really early days for me.
Yep.
So I've really just started to set the scene, make sure that the planning landscape is ready to accept it, and all those things. Yeah.
It looks fantastic. And by the way, we want one out here. So
okay.
When you finish that one.
Cool.
Oh, look.
I'm there. Yeah, I know the site actually. I used to walk past it with my kids all the time. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
No, all good.
Oh, look, reading the room, I can safely say we endorse this project.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll refer to staff for advice in particular around how it fits in with the decisions around other parts of that park as well. So
That's fantastic.
cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you. Ms. Bush here.
Cool. Awesome. That's all. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have Matt Hodgson. You'll come to talk to us about potential asset sales and the long-term plan. Cool. And
Kia ora. I've come here today to speak as a resident concerned about the looming potential of asset sales. I am a resident of the Spreydon, and I've lived in this electorate my entire time in Christchurch. I am part of a group of concerned residents who sit behind us here.
Yep.
I speak as one of them, but I don't represent the entirety of their views. I'm not Christchurch born and bred. I came here in 2015. I saw Christchurch as a bastion of collective resilience. I came here for the opportunities such city brings and has to offer, opportunities that stem in and stand on the backs of the collectivist spirit of those who lived in and grew the city prior to my 8 years here. A city that does not hold control of its key assets has let go of the steering wheel. It no longer holds control of the direction of its future, and it puts its fate in the hands of privately owned, financially motivated foreign entities. Will they act solely in the best interest of us, the residents of an electorate that is represented by you? I don't think so. They'll act in the best interest of their shareholders. A council and board members have the duty to act in the best interest of populace. How can it do this if it no longer has control over the very foundations of the society it's supposed to govern? I put it to you that it cannot. Will you act in the best interest of the people of Christchurch and more locally, this electorate? No one else will. Good questions.
Thanks, Mac. Question from Keir.
Yeah, I was just wondering, obviously you're concerned about the prospect of some of these strategic assets being sold. I was wondering if you could maybe explain a bit about why you think that they're strategic assets, places like the port, the airport, and Able.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. So these locations are key to the running of our society. Our port is literally the mouth of Christchurch. It's where all of the goods come into that are not land transported. If you look at recent political events like coronavirus, where we've had limited travel, if we don't hold control of these things, then how are we able to feed our city? More importantly, if you look at the people who sit behind me, where one of them is a port worker, we have a commitment from the council to keep council-owned assets as living wage entities. If you don't control these assets, how can you uphold that commitment? The people who work in these facilities, this is their life, this is their bread and butter, this is how they put their roof over their heads. These are the reasons that we're really concerned about it. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Anything further?
I just had a question in terms of obviously there's lots of things on the table in the LTP in terms of funding the program of work that council's got ongoing, business as usual work and projects that are coming in the pipeline as well. What in your view would be an alternative approach to sort of balancing the books? Because I mean that's why this idea is being floated, isn't it? It's being floated as an idea to sort of balance the books in a way. Have you got any thoughts around what would be an alternative solution there?
I have several. I may not be the best person to speak to this. I think there are other members here who have more experience in this than myself.
That's fine. Yeah.
Am I able to call upon it? Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Do you want to come up to? Yep.
One thing the council could do was direct the airport company to flog off. One thing the council could do would be direct Christchurch International Airport Limited to actually sell off the tens of millions, if not over $100 million worth of Central Otago real estate that's bought for this bloody ludicrous white elephant terrace airport.
Yep.
So when people, I'm Murray Horton, I'm the convener of Keep Our Assets. And so when people say, well, would you agree to sell anything, to let anything go? We wouldn't die in a ditch for every bit of land on Banks Peninsula, for example, that the City Council inherited from Banks Peninsula District Council. But I mean, we've been through this before, just a few years ago, under the previous council, the Leanne Dalziel Council, and we got the same argument. We have to sell, for example, City Care and $750 million worth of assets because we've got big debt. Then suddenly it all vanished. And suddenly there wasn't that debt. Now, okay, so City Holdings borrowed money, etc. I mean, basically, our basic argument is fight to keep them, because once they're gone, they're gone. You know, I mean, at the national level, New Zealand, I used to work for the railways, like Heine does, years ago, and they got flogged off and had to be bought back, and with a change of government, change of ownership, as did Air New Zealand. So once they're gone, and if you're looking at getting them back. And another thing I would say in relation to Mac, the value of these assets, I mean, I live in Addington, I've lived there for 40 years. We had, after the quake, we had no power for about a week. That was not as much as lots of other people in the east, but one of the major reasons why electricity came back on in the city as quickly as it did after a world-class catastrophe was that Orion had, for no apparent reason, for no economic reason, actually future-proofed its network before 2010, 2011. And, you know, I'm quoting sort of respectable businessmen who said exactly the same thing, that they built, you know, they got the power on out to the east and that as quickly as they could. And in the case of our place in Addington, after 5 days, that's remarkable. Wellington had a power cut caused by a storm back in the first decade of this century and was out for weeks.
No, thanks. That answers the question. Yeah, appreciate that. And we've got time for one more from Sarah, and then we'll have to finish there.
Thanks for that. On a slightly different tangent, when it comes to investing more money in new assets for the next 30 years, so there's climate change coming and a range of different things that we might need something a bit different than the old stuff. So how do you see that fitting in? So Orion, for example, needs to upgrade all of everything to have the facilities available for decarbonisation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think
so how do we invest in that?
Bonds would be one way, for example. Issue sort of building Christchurch bonds. I mean, you're talking about how do we invest for climate change. The stupidest decision the City Council has made in recent years was allowing the selling off of Red Bus. And here you have a situation where we're told that public transport is a major factor in solving climate change, and there is no municipally owned public transport system in Christchurch now. And I mean, that's been sold off and sold off again since that time is gone.
Cool. We're out of time, but Keir's just asked for one very tiny question.
Quickly, do you know if anyone campaigned on selling assets, or if there are any commitments before the election that assets wouldn't be on the chopping block this term?
I do indeed. Yeah, no, I believe maybe our current mayor was caught briefly quoting that he wouldn't sell them.
Yeah, good answer. Thank
Nobody,
you.
to our knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, but absolutely no candidate for the City Council or any community board said, vote for me and I will sell assets. Not one.
No.
The subject just never arose.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.